Hey Nerdy Knitter, Tanya here. It's the end of another month and that means another monthly knitting roundup, so be sure to grab a drink and your knitting and let's settle in for a good chat. I have had a very busy knitting month, so we've got lots to talk about, but just a couple announcements before we get into all of the finished things and what's on my needles. First of all, my friend Cheryl at Hypnotic Yarns has an upcoming make-along, a mystery knit-along scheduled for October for Halloween, her Haunted Hues. So it's a sock pattern, a mystery of course, and it's going to have 5 mini skeins of yarn and these bright neon colors. It looks like lots of fun. And she loves to put lots of goodies in the package as well, and there's going to be like a private Facebook group and a whole bunch of fun things going on. So that is open for pre-order right now, so I'll put a link for that down below if you want to check it out. Her make-alongs are lots of fun. I'm participating in one right now. I designed a shawl for her. And we're working on the make-along as we speak. It's wrapping up right now, and it was lots of fun. So if you like mystery knit-alongs, you're going to want to check that out. So link down below for that. I have a new pattern release, not my own pattern, but for a publication. So for Cast On Magazine for the Knitting Guild Association. I wrote an article about helical or helix knitting for them. Which honestly I'd never done before. I had thought, I knew I was going to write the article. I'm like, okay, let's look into this and see what it is. And oh, it's so simple. But yeah, I still found a lot to say, so I could fill up a whole article. So I had 2 patterns to go along with it. 2 color hats, so using helical 1-row stripes, and this little fun brim that I kind of bring up into the body of the hat, just for something a little bit fun. And then a multicolor helical knit cowl. It's knit lengthwise, you knit in a tube, and then you sew the cast on and bind off edge together. So it ends up, if I look for it, I could find that seam. It's there somewhere. But this one was lots of fun. So it's got like four different colors, shades of blue, and then 1 shade of orange, and then we purl 1 row just to add a little bit of texture in there. So helical knitting, lots of fun, very, very simple. So those are out. So if you have like the subscription to the membership or the guild membership, then the issues of Cast On are all free. So you can find those patterns in that article if helical knitting is new to you. It's really very simple and very fun. So those are out now. And I was at Knit City these past couple weeks ago now. That was lots of fun. I taught 2 classes there and I overestimated how much we could cover in 3 hours, which I guess is better than underestimating and not having enough to do for your 3 hours. It'd be terrible to get through everything and have a lot of time where people are just kind of twiddling their thumbs because there's nothing to do. So I kind of had the opposite problem. I was kind of rushing at the end to get through all of the material we had, but I think the classes went well overall. It was a lot of material. For the Fix Your Knits class, there was towards the end, people were like, okay, I've had enough. My brain can't absorb anymore. So, because it's a lot when you're trying to learn what you need to know to fix your knitting. But I think it went well overall. They do ask for student feedback. I haven't seen that yet, but I am looking forward to seeing that because I think it always helps to develop your classes or make changes or whatever. If it is too much information, then maybe divide it up into 2 classes. So that's always helpful. So I'm looking forward to seeing that feedback, but I did get good feedback during the class and after, students coming up and asking questions after and talking about things. So that was really well. It went really well. It was lots of fun. I really enjoy going to Montreal. My husband grew up there, so he's always happy. He drove me. I don't drive, so we drove to Montreal for the weekend, and it was lovely. His brother lives there, so we got to hang out with him, and I had my 2 classes to teach, and we had a teacher dinner, so that was lots of fun to meet some of the other teachers as well. And it was just really enjoyable, and I hope I will be invited back to teach for them again because it was lots of fun. And now I've got this. This is kind of big to show. So our sponsor this month is Volari. Volari is this fabulous pillow. I don't know if you ever, when you had small children, babies, I don't know what they were called. It was shaped like this. I don't remember it being so large. And it was really nice. You put it on your lap. You could set your baby on it while you were nursing or feeding them or whatever. Well, they have created this same kind of thing, but for crafters. And I hadn't thought to use something like this for crafting, and oh, it's so nice, and it's covered in like this velvety suede material, and you can pick your color. So of course I got hot pink, and it has like a clip so you can clip it around your waist. It is perfect. So this is a Volare pillow. So you just like put it around your waist and you can set your project on it, and it's really good support for your arms. I have been having like just off and on some pain like in my elbow and up through this area. So I've been making sure when I'm knitting to make sure I have like something underneath this arm. I figure it just probably needs some extra support. I actually think it's from work, like because I have like a sit stand desk over here, and I think like the height I've been using is not the right height for my arm. So I've been playing with the right height to make sure I don't get any pain in my arm. But when I'm crafting, this has been perfect. I end up kind of moving it sideways, so I have like the bulk of the pillow sort of under this arm to give it like a place to rest. And this is really nice. I really like it. It's nice and soft, and of course it's hot pink, so it's fun. So this is our sponsor for this month, and you're going to want to stick around because we are giving away one of these pillows. Not this one. This one is mine, but Volare will be sending a lucky winner one of these pillows, and I think you get to pick your color and all of that fun stuff. They've got lots of colors to choose from. But if you want to learn more about them, I'll have a link down below for them. And if you just want to go ahead and order one, if you use the code NerdyKnitting15, then you can get 15% off your pillow. But you're going to want to stick around to the end, of course, because we are going to be giving away one of these babies. Last thing before we get into the knitting is the monthly recap. So let's take a quick peek at what I recorded at the end of last month with plans of what I wanted to do over the month of May and see how much we actually finished. So here's all my projects for April. So Brioche mode is in here. I think my only plan for this is finish the section I'm on, start the next section. I'm just poking away at that and working on it when I feel like it, not in a big rush to finish. Okay, and then Mattie is in here, so I'm not going to pull the whole cardigan out. The only thing left to do on this is put the button band on, and then attach the buttons and then do the other button band. And then I'm probably going to put some ribbon on the inside as well. So I should be able to get that done this month. And then my handspun shawl, the Lintilla shawl, is in here. This one I should be able to get done as well. I'm pretty much finished with a bit of yarn that I have, and then I've got the ruffle left to do. So that shouldn't be too much more knitting. Oh, my handspun hat, yeah, that's all I've got left. I just have to finish the top. That should be like maybe an hour's work. And my hemp top, this one I'm not sure. I think I want to have the back done. I want to at least get the back done and maybe get started on the fronts, but that'll be the plan. I would like to have this for summer, so I need to get kicking on it. And it is pretty quick, like it goes fast. So I should be able to get the back finished, and I've got to take apart the other top that I have with this so I can start the fronts as well. And then my summer top that I have only swatched for, my plan is to have this done. It's just 2 rectangles. I should be able to get this finished within plenty of time for the next podcast. Hopefully, I don't know if I'll have the sewing it up done at that point, but I should have the pieces finished hopefully by then. I think that's it. And then if I got more things finished, I'm probably going to like cast on some other things as well. So finished objects first, and I am very happy to finally have Mattie off my needles. I don't like to be knitting on big heavy sweaters over the summer. That's not fun, having a big pile of wool on your lap. So she is officially finished. I think because it's named Mattie, I want to call it a she. So I just had the 1 button band left to do, and that is done now. I do want to give it one more final soak, I think. It needs a nice good steam just to like sort of even things out here along the button band. But that's all done. And I think the only thing, it's lengthwise, it's perfect. I think I want pockets. Like I keep wanting to put my hands in pockets, and I still have mostly 1 skein of yarn left. I think I might be able to squeak 2 pockets out of that and put them on the front. But if I do that, I'll come back and talk about that. But this is all finished. So the yarn I used for it is Knit Picks Palette. This one is J. I can't remember what the lighter blue is called. I'll have it in the show notes down below. Pattern was great. There were a couple things that I had a little bit of an issue trying to figure out. The button band's a little bit different, but I got it sorted out in the end. And it is a bit tedious because you have to knit it separate and then sew it down and then sew the facing down. So it's a lot of like finishing at the end, but not hard to do, just a bit tedious. But it's all done now. I still have to give it a nice final steam, or maybe I'll just soak the whole thing again and make sure it's nice and clean before I pack it away for this summer. And then I have considered, because she does mention putting like a ribbon on the back, and I haven't done that yet. I did buy a ribbon, so we'll see. I might add that later on, but I can do that in the fall if I want to. But I did make some modifications to it. I took out one of the floral repeats because for me, the armhole depth was a little too long. So I just removed one of those to shorten up the armhole depth a little bit. I added an extra round where I increased a bunch of stitches because the arm circumference was too small for me. And I wanted a little more room in the bust. So I added one more increase round and increased a bunch of stitches. Let me see, what else did I do? I moved stitches from the back, like instead of dividing the front and the back equally, I took some stitches out of the back and added them to the front for my bust. And then the lengthwise, I went like for a tunic length. The sleeves, I ended up shortening and reshaping, like just reworking the shaping. I always have to like revamp the sleeves. My sleeves always have to be like 2 inches shorter than what most patterns have written. So I had to redo that. I think that was about it. Very pleased with how it came out. The only thing is like the button band area feels very, very thick because it's been steeked. And then on top of that, you have like the button band stitches plus a facing that you knit and put over like the steeked stitches. So it's quite a lot of layers of fabric right there, but I'm hoping when I soak it, that'll sort of relax a little bit. And then, yeah, I might, if I add a ribbon, that's just another layer on there as well, but I think that I would just put right behind the button band. We'll see. That's future Tanya's issue to deal with probably in the fall, but I'm very pleased to have it all done. I'm really happy with how it came out. It's very comfy and cozy, and the only thing I think it needs is some pockets, but that's another issue probably for fall. I'm going to save my one skein of yarn, and I think I can probably get two like patch pockets out of that and then sew them on the front as well. My next finished project is this tee that I published, or this was published and cast on a couple years ago. It was one of the first tops I had designed, and very, very basic. It's 2 rectangles, and then you're like 3 needle bind off the sleeves or the shoulders and then sew up the sides. And I could now release it, so I thought I would re-knit a sample in my size because the sample I knit is for like the mannequin. It doesn't fit me. Actually, I can fit it on. It fits me, but it's way too tight. So I requested yarn support again, and then I gave them like some color choices, and I got the same exact color, which is hilarious, but I love this color in the summer. This is like with some white shorts or capris and this like teal blue. Anyway, so this is Flaxen Silk Fine from Sweet Georgia in the color Beach House. So it's a blend of linen and silk and perfect for summer tops. It's nice and airy and floaty. And well, I've got the other sample right here. Let me grab that one. So very nice and airy and floaty. I knit mine at a slightly tighter gauge. I wanted it to be just a little more, because it's a little bit on the see-through side. I don't think it's terrible, but I just wanted it just to be a little firmer for my gauge, for my top. So the tutorial for this will be coming out in a couple weeks, sometime like the 2nd week of June, I believe. So the overhead part is all recorded because I recorded it while I was knitting mine, and then I just have to like finish up the video and edit it and everything like that, get the pattern all finalized, and that will be ready to come out in a couple weeks. So that's another finished project. I've also finished a couple of hand spun projects. First of all, this hat. Whenever I don't know what to knit and I've got like a single skein, usually I knit like a hat or something. Everybody always needs hats, right? So this uses Malabrigo Nube, which is 100% merino wool roving. The color here is called Deep Ocean. So I think what I did, if I remember correctly, this is one of the first like colored braids I bought and spun, and it's not terribly bad. There are some thick and thin spots in there. You can see close up on there. There's a couple things, but it's just a plain rib hat. Nothing special about that. I just measure my head, subtract like 10%. To figure out like the cast on number. I want to make sure it's an even number, and then just 1 by 1 rib. I have a video where I talk about how I just knit like a hat, that basically without a pattern, using whatever yarn weight I have. So this was one of the first. Within the first month I was actually, it's inside out. That's the inside of the crown. That's the outside. Can tell because the top is just stockinette where it's all like worked, all finished. And I move out of the ribbing and just knit in the round and do a bunch of decreasing. So the inside is like a little bit of reverse stockinette at the top. Then I have also finished my Lintilla shawl. So this one starts at the end And it's just garter stitch, and you stop and do these short row ruffles, and then you save like a bit of your yarn and you finish with this big ruffle right here on the end. This was such a fun knit. Like, it's not hard at all. It's just garter stitch and then short rows. So you have to pay attention to like where you're turning for your short rows. So I'll have a link, of course, for everything. The pattern is down below. The yarn for this one is Wool of the Andes, the roving. And then I had taken one of the colors out of a braid from Sweet Georgia Yarns. I can't remember what the braid was called, but I was gonna, it's one of the classes on the School of Sweet Georgia about spinning a braid 5 different ways. And one of the ways is a marled yarn, but you can take out one of the colors and you save that for another one, which was this one. I think this one is called the raindrop technique. And I think I added too much color, like compared to like what the class wanted you to add, but I really like how it turned out. So I had taken one color out of a braid, and then I had split the roving into 2, like just split it lengthwise, and then one, so it was a 2-ply yarn, and 1 ply is just the plain cream color, and then the other ply was the cream color with a bit of that teal color just kind of added in there. And then plied the 2 together. So we get this sort of technique. And that's how it looks when it's knit out. And of course there's short rows, so it changes the direction of the colors. And there's a bit of gray in there as well that came along with that teal. And here's what the yarn looked like. So, and this is probably one of the more recent-ish ones in the last few months. So my yarns are getting better. Not perfect, but there's still some thick and thin spots in there, but it's looking a lot more consistent. You can see, yeah, right there that the tail, like the 2 different yarns are plied together, or the 2 different singles plied together. So I'm pleased with this one. I'm pleased with this shawl. A lot of Martina Behm's patterns are sort of written where you could, I think they'd work well with where you're not sure how much yarn you have. If you have, like, that's how this one worked. Like, you just have to kind of weigh things, and she tells you how much to set aside for each part, so you can use up most of the yarn. So that's all I had left, which is fine. I'd rather have some left than not enough to finish out that final ruffle. So I've got a bin of like my leftover hand spun bits. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with those yet, but that's another project that's off the needles, and now I've got to get some more handspun projects on my needles. I feel like that was a lot. I actually had a lot of finished things. I spent a lot of time. This was a big project, just getting this finished for that tutorial. That was most of like my during the week knitting, but I did get to some other things as well. First of all is brioche mode. So this pattern is a blend of brioche and 2-color garter stitch stripes, and 2-color brioche as well. But she has lots of like color combinations. You can use a big mix or a variation of colors. I went with 3. There is 2 colors here in the brioche section. So you start here and you work this brioche kind of like a top-down triangle shawl, and then you stop and you do your 2-row garter stitch stripes, and then there's some more brioche in here and more stripes, and you can see like the modular construction. Like, I am past the halfway point. This is like the halfway point right here. So I'm working down to the other side now. I've just finished this garter stitch section. So I think my next thing to do is pick up over here and do this garter stitch section. But it's coming along. I think I did quite a bit actually compared to last time. There are a lot of ends to weave in though. If you can see them hanging on there, there's a lot of them. I might stop and do some of that. And I did make some mistakes. I was pretty tired one night and I was not paying attention, so I'll hold this up, and there are, actually I noticed afterwards I made two mistakes with, you're supposed to like have this central double decrease, or this central decrease line running down the center. And right there, you can see it's not running down the center anymore. It's off to the side. So I accidentally like used the wrong stitch for the stitch that should sit on the top. And I repeated that up here somewhere, but I didn't notice until after I'd finished that section, and I am not ripping back that brioche to try to fix it. So it's just gonna stay. But I figure, yes, from a distance, nobody's gonna notice that, right? I hope. But it's gonna stay in there. I'm not taking that back out. So it's coming along nicely. I don't imagine this is going to take me too much longer to finish. I am on like, I'm past the halfway mark. So now it's sort of like, let me see, I think I'm on, yeah, I'm in this, repeating this part up on this end now. But it is lots of fun. It's a bit confusing in parts, like I have to stop and reread and imagine how it's supposed to look, because you've got stitches on hold and picking up over here and then joining everything together, and it's just a lot that way. But it's been fun. So my colors, I started with this skein of yarn. This is Oh My Stars from Yarnable. That was sort of my inspiration. So, and then I had some Bare Capretta Superwash from Knit Picks. So I decided to take the blue. I just love a good teal or a shade of blue out of this. And then I decided to dye it at like a 1% solution and then a 2% solution to make it slightly darker. So that's what I used for the 2-color brioche. So it's very, very similar, but there is a little bit of variation in the colors right there. So those are the 3 colors I have for this. So, and I think it's lots of fun to use like a hand dyed as like the inspiration color and then like combine your own dyeing with it. So that's lots of fun. I don't dye yarn very often, but once in a while I want to pull out the dye pot and do something. So I did that for this. So that is coming along nicely. I think I might stop and weave in some ends though, so I don't have a whole bunch to do at the end. So my next project, I have decided to frog. I had a bunch of this lime green hempster yarn left. Not enough to finish what I wanted. I just wanted some light summer cover up, you know, to throw on over my PJs in the morning or something if I had danced the door and I was still in my pajamas, or if I wanted to go on the back deck, you know, and wanted to cover up a little bit. And I know I didn't have enough for this whole top. So I was planning, I had like a V-neck tank that I had knit. I don't know why I have so much of this yarn. It's not great for like garments because it's on the heavy side. So I was thinking I'm going to rip out that tank and I'm going to knit this instead because it's a lot more lightweight than that tank is. So I've gotten like the whole back done, and I started one piece of the front. And I'm running out, like I'm almost out of yarn. So I went to like my summer clothes, pulled that tank out, decided, let me try it on again. I put it on and I'm like, oh, I don't really want to rip this out. I kind of still like it. And I don't have enough to finish this. So, but I don't really want to rip out that tank to reuse it for this. So this is going to get frogged because I don't have enough to finish, and this yarn is discontinued. I don't honestly love it that much anyway. The pattern is great. That's super simple, super fast to knit up. I think this would be perfect for like a light, you know, over your swimsuit kind of like just a light airy cover up that you want. And this yarn actually works really well with it, but I don't have enough, and I decided I don't want to rip that tank out because I still like it. I still want to wear it. I didn't want to pick it all apart to reuse the yarn. So this is going to get frogged. And I haven't done that in a while, like decided, you know, partway through a project to just rip it out, and but it is what it is. I don't have enough to finish, and I don't want to try to find more, and yeah, so I'm going to rip it out, and I think I'm just going to knit like maybe some market bags with it or something, because it's not great for garments. I don't know what I was thinking when I bought this. I can't imagine why I bought so much of it. It was on a really good price, so I bought a whole bunch in this lime green shade. So I think, yeah, I'll rip this out, and at some point it will become some market bags or something like that. So I have 2 Yarnable projects. I'm actually thinking of putting my Yarnable subscription just on pause for a bit so I can catch up on some of these yarns, but we'll see. I want to kind of see like a sneak peek of the colors before I decide, because if I really love it, I'd be disappointed not to get that one. But the first project is Filigree Slouch by Woolly Wormhead, which uses fingering weight yarn. So I'm using the August 2024 Neon Graffiti for this one. So here's the yarn, which is, it's got like just those fun neon colors. And this is how it's knitting up. I wasn't sure how it's going to look with this pattern, but I kind of am liking it quite a lot. I mean, you can still see the variegated yarn in there, but the reverse stockinette and the cable twist just add a little something to it. So that's coming right along. I messed it up the first time, of course. This little cable pattern, I wasn't paying attention to the instructions, and it's got like the written instructions are all spelled out, the chart. I'm using the written instructions, and like after, I can't remember, was it might be rounds 8 through 10 or 11 or something like that. I did round 7, or now, yes, rounds 8. It's like round 7 through 10 or something like that. And I just did round 7, and then I just moved my marker down to the next round, which is round 11. So I left out, because you do the same thing for rounds 7 through 10 or something like that. And I had not paid attention to the numbers on the rounds, and I skipped right to round 11 basically. And I didn't realize for 2 rounds. And then I'm like, my little motif did not look like the pictured motif. And then I read the instructions. I'm like, oh, I left out 3 rounds. That's why. So now I went back and I like made a note, you know, there are 2 sections where you're repeating the same instructions for 4 rounds. So it was just my own, nothing wrong with the pattern. It was my own issue for not actually paying attention that, you know, those 4 rounds are the same 4 times before you switch to like the next round. And that happens. There's 2 sections of the pattern that does that. So I only messed it up once, but I had to pull it out. wasn't going to rip it out, so I pulled it back stitch by stitch, 2 rounds, because it's twisted stitch cables, and I wasn't going to like try to put those all back on the needle. So 1 stitch at a time, taking that out. That took me a while, but it's done now. All fixed, all caught up. I finished 1 repeat, so I've got a couple more repeats to go, and then we'll start on the crown, I guess. But I really like the colors. I've got a pom-pom, a black faux fur pom-pom for the top, so I think that's going to be really cute. Pattern's fine, nothing really to say there. My only note, the only issue I had though was like, I'm looking at the picture and it looks like it's all twisted stitches. But when I read the instructions for working like the crossing, it doesn't say anything about knitting it through the back loop as you're doing the crossing stitches. But the picture looks like they're twisted, and I think it's supposed to be twisted. So I did twist my stitches, because well, even if it's not, I wanted them to be twisted. So that was the only thing I noticed. And maybe if I might again be myself, like I was not paying attention as I was reading, I think, for this one. But coming right along, I really like how the black background is kind of spiraling on there. I think that's going to look interesting when it's all done. So this might end up in like my variegated yarn class. Because I teach, I've done videos here about variegated yarn, and that ended up being like a 3-hour class with lots of swatches and some projects that I've finished. And this might end up in there as well, just because it's another, showcasing another way to use variegated yarn. But anyway, so that's coming right along. Now my next Yarnable project is a cowl. So this is the Eventide cowl by Dawn Barker. Uses assigned pooling. This is the Wings of Renewal colorway. I wrote down August 2025, and obviously that is not correct, but I think it's a fairly recent one. So sometime winter 2025 is when this one came out, I believe. So I had originally thought there's like these 2 shades, a darker teal and then this bright teal and then the gray. And I was originally thinking of the gray, I can't remember now, as sort of like the assigned pooling color, but that wasn't working out right. It was hard to tell the difference between these 2 colors here. So I went with the bright teal as my like assigned pooling stitch color instead. And I like how those other 2 colors are forming these stripes. Like now it's really obvious, the 2 different colors, like they just striped up right there. So this is assigned pooling. This pattern is the Eventide cowl. So its background is in garter stitch, obviously. It's just like, it's very simple, we're just a rectangle, 40 some stitches. But when you get to like your pooling color, there is a special stitch that you do. She calls it the aster stitch, and it forms like these little floral motifs on here. And interestingly, like this is sort of stacked up, like one seems to be stacking on the edge, and then this one kind of going back and forth in the middle. So I like how it's coming out. It's different. This is another one. I am working on a class about assigned pooling. I'm updating my class catalog, I guess, for classes that I teach. And I thought it would be fun to have one that's, because I've got one on variegated yarn, and then I feel like the next step is what if you have like a very specific variegated yarn where you can use it for assigned pooling. So I thought that would be fun to have a class about that. So I'm looking for some patterns to knit up. I'll probably create a pattern at some point, just because, you know, to have one for the class or whatever. And like lots of stitch patterns that you can use if you want to like go your own way of doing your own assigned pooling kind of project, like how to choose your background stitch pattern, and then some fun stitch patterns you can pop in there for that assigned pooling. So I've got 2 more hats I'm working on, and these are to go along with an article for Cast On I'm doing about beanies and toques. Just going to be about designing them yourself, basically, like how to work out the crown and the brim and all of that, all the basics of designing a hat. So I'm going to be knitting 2 hats to go along with the article. I want to knit one like the standard way from cuff to crown, and then I thought it would be fun to do a second pattern that goes from crown to brim as well. So that one is going to be in the Sweet Georgia yarn. This is BFL Silk DK in Wisteria. Really pretty yarn, really nice yarn. So that's going to be, I haven't cast this one on yet, obviously, since the yarn is right here. Going to be from crown to cuff. And then the other hat I have cast on is using another, more Sweet Georgia, the Tough Love Sock, and then Silk Mist in Crushed Berry. So I'm going to do like the 2 yarns held together and get my swatch out of the way. So these 2, they're both in Crushed Berry. So this is the color, which I love. I love this color. And this is how it's knitting up right now. So I've just finished the brim of the hat. So it's 3x3 rib. And that's all done. So the colors are the same. So there's just, you get this lovely soft halo in there. And this is going to be, it's going to be a lace rib. This is like my sample swatch. So it's a different yarn. But this is what is going to be on there. It's hard to see too because this is a heathered yarn, but there is, it's this 3x3 rib, but it's got some lace detailing in there. So that's the next part of the hat. And then I've got to sort of work out the crown. I want to keep some of the lace in there as much as possible while I decrease. So we'll have to see about that. But currently working on that. This is like during the week when I'm working knitting, I just did this much yesterday. It's knitting up really quick. I like it when you hold 2 yarns double, like instead of just fingering weight, that's the 2, and it knits up pretty fast, I think. I'm using it more like a figure, like a sport weight is where I think this probably falls, or what I'm happy with. So I'm using needles that I would use for sport weight yarn with these 2, and very happy with how that is looking. So that will be coming out, I think the issue is going to come out in August, but I'm hoping to have it in the mail in July. So hopefully both of these will be done, and I might not even have them to show you in the next podcast. It might be in the mail already. I'm not sure yet. I have to look at my notes about when I want to get this in the mail, but those are in progress as well. Oh, and that's one of my new things. I got a little Knit City bag. I wanted some sort of souvenir for that. So just a little, I like, you know, my 1-skein knit bags. So perfect for that. Now, as far as Handspun projects, I had the 2 finished projects, the shawl and the hat, and I haven't started my next one, but I did get the yarn finished. So this is Wool of the Andes, the roving, and in this, I think this is cranberry is the color. And I think I'm very happy with this one. I think it came out really well. I was going for fingering weight, but I think it's more of like maybe a light sport-ish weight instead. But this is for my daughter. I originally just had the 1-skein or the 1 braid that I spun up, but, and she wants some cable. They're rib gloves, but they've got like this cable on the front, the naughty gloves. But then she wants like a long part of the arm for the cuff. So I was thinking, I'm not sure 1 would be enough. So I got a 2nd braid and I spun that one up as well. So now I should have plenty of yarn, and I imagine I'll have some left over. So I told her I'd do like a matching like ear warmers to go with it. She doesn't want a full-on hat, but just something for her ears. If there's enough, I will do that as well. Maybe with the same cable pattern. We'll see. But so this is all spun up, and that's going to be on the needles at some point. I'm going to get some other things off my needles first, but the yarn is ready. So this is the first time I've like spun for a specific project, and the plan was fingering weight, but I think it came out a little bit thicker, but I think it'll be all right. I'll like cast on a glove where I think it will be right, and then we'll see, and then I'll put that cable motif in there, and then if I have to like work out my own numbers for the fingers and the rest, I can certainly do that. So I think I'm just really happy with that, to like pick a pattern and then reverse engineer, like go backwards and do like spin the yarn from that. And I've got another project, another pair of gloves in mind that'll be coming up. I'll talk about that in the next podcast maybe. I haven't even pulled, like the fiber is still sitting in a basket, but I do have intentions for another project where I spin specifically for a project. And I'm trying to alternate between that and then, you know, just pulling a braid out and spinning for fun, because I do like to do that, but I don't want to have like a bunch of yarn, even if it's hand spun, that I don't really have plans for. So I'm trying to alternate, you know, every time I do one of those where it's just spinning for fun, I pick a project and I try to spin with purpose, I guess, for that specific project. I have two more projects that are coming up that I just wanted to mention here, and I'm going to be using, oh yeah, I have a color. This is like the summer blue, and then like cobalt navy, that's my winter blue. So I have another, this one is going to be coming out in June, and then I've got another one coming up in July that was published in Biscot Yarns a year ago, just the summer lace tank. And I can release that pattern now too. So I got just Knit Pick Stroll in the same color. So I'm going to be knitting that up, and I'll do a little video tutorial for that as well. That'll be coming in July, so I need to get that on my needles and working on that. And then a personal project, the Calm Night Cami by Lily Kate France. I haven't done any of her patterns, but I love the way she does, like the finishing details on her sweaters is impeccable. Like it's just beautiful, like all the edges and the trims and the details look so nice. So I wanted to try one of her patterns. So the Calm Night Cami, and I'm going to be using Lindy Chain from Knit Picks. And this, what color is this? This is honey. And actually I think it's more of a honey mustard. It looks brighter on the screen than it does in person. It's a little more honey mustardish than honey, I think. But I'm not going to be too nitpicky about it. I still want to knit the top. So that'll be like a personal project. So we'll see how far I get in that one, because I've got to knit this summer tank, and then I've got two hats that are due for cast on, and those are like the work things. So those have to get done first. So that's all the knitting, but I do want to show you a few things. We've got our books to talk about and our giveaway, but a couple things that I picked up at Knit City. So first of all is this a Sweet Paprika Crescendo mini-skein set. So six mini-skeins. Yeah, I know. I've got a thing for blues. I'm just noticing that. Pinks and blues. I like my hot pink, but I do like my blues as well. So I got two of these actually. Don't even know what I'm going to do with them yet, but I just really liked them. So I bought two of those, and I got some fiber. I'm not going to show you all the fiber. That's mostly what I bought. I was surprised because I figured it would be mostly yarn, but there was actually quite a bit of fiber there. So I did buy some really colorful braids that will be coming up on projects in the future. And then this TournieBijoux.com. I'm going to put a link for her down below. But these are wet felted stitch markers. Like the little purpley circles in the middle are just, they're felt. And you have to go check out her website. She has the most beautiful wet felted jewelry. And I couldn't decide what to get. And I'm like, okay, let's just get some stitch markers, because they're just so pretty to look at. So I got these. I wanted to show you something on here, and she was so sweet. I sat beside her. She taught a class on felting, and I sat beside her at dinner one night, and we had a chance to chat, and she's the sweetest woman. So you want to go check her out. She's got beautiful, beautiful, I was just in love with all of the wet felted jewelry that she makes. But I just got stitch markers instead, because I thought they were just so cute. And yeah, they're felted wool, and they're just so pretty. And then I do have two subscription boxes that I subscribe to. One is a fiber subscription. So it's a Nest Fiber Studio, and this is her colorway called Tulip on I think it's 100% merino base. So I braided it up. I thought it was pretty as a braid. So I just really, really lovely colors. No plans for this, but I think it's nice just to get a nice pretty braid in the mail. So that's a splurge for me, is to get that. So that was in the mail this month. The next thing is Yarnable, and this month's theme is lemon, which I thought was really cute. So car air fresheners is the first thing, and it came with two, but my daughter's already stolen one. She was painting the spare bedroom downstairs, and it was really chilly, so she didn't want to keep the windows open too long, so she grabbed one of these to hang in the room to try to like mask the paint odor. And it's a nice, good, strong scent. So I have to get that in the car or hang it somewhere. And then there is Citrus Delights Meyer Lemon Candies in this cute little tin. And then the last thing is Petty in a Box, which sounds really nice. It's got a sea salt soak, a sugar scrub, and then a massage butter, a 3-step pedicure process. So that sounds really nice as well. Especially it's almost summer, so you know, get my feet in like summer sandal weather. And of course we're here for the yarn. So this is, what's it called? Squeeze the Day. So take the label down so you can see that. So just this lovely, lovely bright yellow and this pop of green. And she did have a note. Now, the insert that usually comes with it now comes as a PDF, so you can get links and go look at everything. She also had a note that this is done with assigned pooling in mind, and then she's got some patterns in the email. So if you want to check out like some assigned pooling patterns to use with it. And that's exactly like when you have mostly one color and then a pop of one color. That one color is what you're going to use for your assigned stitch. So I'm very pleased with that. I really like these assigned pooling patterns. I just think they're lots of fun. So I'm really looking forward to trying another assigned pooling project with this. So now we have to talk about books, and today I have actually a stack of 4. These are Barbara Walker's stitch dictionaries. These are classic, like classics. A lot of designers probably have at least the first one, probably the first 2 on their shelf. She also has a mosaic knitting one, but I wanted to just focus on like all of the basic stitch patterns that aren't like just mosaic, like just these are all, you know, cables, lace, twisted stitches, drop stitches, a bunch of different things. So I'm not going to show every single book, but just give you a quick overview. So these 2 are probably the most used. Now you can see I've even put tabs in mine because I use them so much. So I just like tab the top and I can quickly go. If I'm looking for cables, I can use a tab in the top and just go right to the cables. So there's no charts in these 2 books, but instead everything is written out. So I'm just going to show you a page just really quickly. It'll have a picture, and it'll have a stitch pattern, and it'll have a swatch of the pattern, but just written out. No charts or anything like that, but lots and lots and lots. So this book here covers knits and purls, ribbing, color change, slip stitch, twisted stitches, fancy texture, yarn overs, eyelets, lace, cables, and cable texture. So all the classic stuff, you're gonna find it in this book. That's like the first one. And then the red book is number 2, and it's very similar to the first one. It's got knits and purls, slip stitch, color slip stitch, mosaic, fancy color, fancy texture, twisted stitches, cables, cable fabric, yarn overs, eyelets, lace, lace panels, borders, and edging. So this one also includes like the edgings and borders as well. But layout wise, exactly the same. It's got a swatch of the pattern, maybe some notes about it, and then some written instructions. So that's what you're going to find. But these 2 are what I would consider like the classics. Like they've got so much in here, and most designers probably are going to have both of these on their shelf. The second and the third, or the third and the fourth, are where things change quite a bit. So the third, and I don't have, these are newer purchases. I bought these probably within the last year, and I haven't used them as much. So this one is, the third one, the yellow book, is charted design. So now we're moving beyond the written instructions, and this one has charts. But this is before there were like charting, before there was charting software. So it's all like handwritten or hand drawn. So here's a quick one right here, this cherry stitch. So you're going to see the swatch and then the chart. And she does have a page in here that explains how to do the charts, or like all of the symbols in the charts. But it's just interesting to me because this was before there was software for that. So it's all handwritten, which I think is really cool. Now, of course, there is mosaic patterns in here as well. So you'll have like just charts like this instead, where it's not symbols, it's just colored blocks. So in this book, it's the same kind of designs, but of course not written instructions. This one's charted instead, and it's divided. I need to put some tabs in this one. So textured fabrics, twisted stitches, cables, closed ring designs in cables, cable stitch patterns, lace panels, mosaic patterns, color patterns, and then uncharted miscellany in the back. And there's a lot of that. So this one, it's not written instructions. It's the same kind of thing, completely different patterns though. Each book is completely different. You're not going to find the same stitch patterns in each of these books. But this one is charted instead of the written instructions. Now, the fourth one is completely different than the other 3. The other 3 are stitch dictionaries. I feel like this one really is not the same at all. It's more of a sampler. Like here, I'm gonna go to, it does have some stitch patterns. There's a mosaic one there. And then here is this charted lace here. But this one is, it's what she calls samplers. So if you ever think of like old fashioned, you know, you do like an embroidery sampler or something like this big square where you try different embroidery techniques or something like that. This is kind of the vibe this book is going for. It's not just a stitch dictionary, but it's got stitch patterns in here, but they're larger and they're more what she calls samplers. It's hard to describe this one, it's a little different. Chapter 1 is just about garter stitch and what she calls parquet squares, seamless square pillow, octagonal forms, short row pinwheels. Basically all these ways of using garter stitch but modular knitting. The whole first like 30 pages is just on that, like garter stitch but modular construction to create different shapes. Then chapter 2 is mosaic samplers. So it is some charts, but they're intended to be used on like bigger projects. Let me find one here. Like this skirt. This is a sampler skirt. So you're taking these charts and turning them into these projects where you're sampling all of these different stitch patterns. So chapter 1 is garter stitch, chapter 2 is mosaic, chapter 3 is lace, and like I showed you is those big like diamond shaped lace pattern. And then chapter 4 is cables, and then chapter 5 is 82 new stitch patterns, which includes texture, cables and traveling stitches, lace, and then uncharted miscellany. So it's slightly different. It's not quite the same as the other 3 books. The first 2 are written instructions for stitch patterns. The third one is charted instructions. This one is more, it's samplers. They're larger patterns. Here's an example of like a lace sampler wall hanging. So you take these patterns and this is something that you could design a sampler with those stitch patterns. But it does still have plenty of stitch patterns. It doesn't feel like quite as much as the other 3 books, but it's different than the other 3, but it's still worth checking out. But Barbara Walker's books are definitely like the classic things to have if you want to either design or you like having like a plain vanilla pattern that is custom fit, you know fits you well, and then you want to pop some stitch patterns in there, then her books are classic. Like you can just, you know, go crazy. And I would think you wouldn't really need any other books. If you got the first 2 or 3 of these, you would have plenty of stitch patterns for anything that you would want to do. Of course, I love stitch pattern books, so I've got a lot more than these, but these are ones that I turn to quite often. What I end up doing usually is pulling one out, finding one I like, and then I get out my charting software and I chart it out because I'm very visual and I want to see how it's going to look in a chart, and then I knit from the chart, but that's personal preference. But anyway, Barbara Walker's stitch dictionary is a fourth, like a treasury of knitting patterns is the first, and then a second treasury of knitting patterns, charted knitting designs is the third, and then a fourth treasury of knitting patterns. So those are her 4 books, and of course she has other ones as well. She's got Knitting from the Top, which is about top-down seamless sweaters, and then she's got her mosaic knitting stitch dictionary, which I also have on the shelf, but I feel like that's a separate one from these because these are more broad, covering all of the different types of stitch patterns. So we can't end our episode without talking about our giveaway, and I've introduced Volare at the beginning of the episode, and I'm bringing it back again because this pillow is amazing. It's huge, but it's so comfy and it's soft and it just provides so much really good support. Especially, I've got like my right arm sometimes ends up, I think probably from work, like computer and mouse and all of that, trackpad. Just this arm starts to feel it, and then you know, if I'm working and knitting in the afternoon as well. So this pillow has been just fabulous for that. I put it underneath me and then it just kind of supports my arms and my project as well, and it's so soft. And it's hot pink. Who doesn't love that? Okay, but you can pick your own color. But if you just want to buy your own, I'm going to have a link down below, and then use Nerdy Knitting 15 as a code to get 15% off. But we are going to be doing a giveaway. Volare is going to be sending one person a pillow for you to have. Thankfully, I don't have to do it because this is really big, but it's kind of cool. It comes like all vacuum packed in a box, and then you unseal it and it pops out, and then you put it in the cover so you can pick your cover and it zips right into there. But I really like this. I really like the support it provides for my arm. I always have to have something under this arm when I'm knitting just because I start to get some pain there if I don't. And this has been really great for that. And I highly recommend it. And it does clip around you. So it's got these two, like just a little clip. They also have an extender. So if it's not quite large enough around you, they have like an extender piece that you can extend around your body and clip it in the back. Or I don't even bother clipping it half the time. I just kind of set it on top of me, and then I've got my arm there, and it's perfect for like resting my arm on so I don't get any kind of pain in my arm. Okay, so this giveaway is only open to the US, to Canada, and the UK. Unfortunately, those are the only locations they can ship to. So if you live in one of those places, you can enter this giveaway. So we're gonna have a question. You're gonna leave a comment down below, and I just wanna know, where do you generally knit? What's your favorite place to knit, or where do you usually knit? Or for me, it's like on the couch in the living room, but it's summertime now, so it's probably on the back deck. So whatever answer you wanna have, just tell me where you knit. And then Tuesday, June 3rd, we're gonna close the giveaway, and I'm gonna use a random comment generator to choose one of those comments where you tell me where you love to knit. And I will then tag the person who is chosen, and then you have to get in touch with me, send me your mailing information, and I will forward that on to Valari, and they will send you your pillow. So to enter the giveaway, just leave a comment down below telling me where you love to knit, and then next Tuesday we'll close that. And again, the giveaway is only open to those in the US, in Canada, and the UK. And then depending, I'm pretty sure they ship from the US, there could be customs involved. That would also be your responsibility if there's any sort of payment that's due on arrival. So if you're not willing to pay that customs fee, then don't enter the giveaway either. But that's all you have to do. And so I'm the one hosting the giveaway. Valari is sponsoring. They are providing the gift. YouTube is not involved in any way. You'll find all of the full details all spelled out below in the video description box. But just leave that comment, and next Tuesday, somebody here is going to get a chance to win their own Valari pillow. And of course, you don't have to wait for the giveaway. If you want to go check them out now, I'll have a link down below for them. And I love this pillow. It is great. It's just, I can't say enough good things about it. Like, it's really nice to have something like sitting soft under my arm, but giving it a little more support. And it comes in lots of fun colors. Who doesn't love that? And of course, you don't have to pick hot pink like me. They've got lots of other colors, so I'll put a link down below. And if you do want to purchase, then use Nerdy Knitting 15 to get 15% off. So that's it for this episode. I'm so glad that you chose to hang out with me today. If you're new here and this is your first time watching the podcast, I'm going to put a playlist here. You can catch up on past episodes of the podcast. And if you've hung around for a while, then I'm going to let YouTube recommend a video that you might have missed. So click right there, and I'll see you in the next video.